Okay, so first installment into looking at a given project. First beat we're looking at, heed my warning. Okay, so the first thing you want to do with any song in FL Studio is replace the limiter with a soft clipper, or else your song is going to sound really bad. Then you want to pick like an 808 drum sound effect or instrument, something like that, you know, to start off your song. So I use Nexus or GMS a lot, and I picked the Hybrid Strings 1. Okay, so the entirety of this song started off with me playing 4 notes on my keyboard that I thought were really cool. So then I created this MIDI pattern off of that idea. This is the strings pattern, which only plays at the beginning, but it is the main tune of the song. So yeah. As for effects, we have Fruity Limiter, which keeps it from getting out of hand volume-wise, EQ, cutting at the low end, the high, and boosting some of these tasty mid ones. At the beginning of the song, it comes out of this filter. And then before we look at these two plugins, let me show you this. This instrument has the same MIDI on these two patterns, strings and drop melody. And then as it's playing over these 2 bars, I use an automation clip to put it into half speed and then to turn on the frequency splitter, which cuts out most of the low. Then it sustains these notes throughout that entire pattern until we get to this electronic orchestra pattern, where it plays pretty much the basic MIDI, but with some added notes. And that is until we get to this transition, where it's all quieter, but then I made an inversion to this chord and some extra notes up here. That plays again later on in the song. And that's before the orchestra outro, where it plays the basic MIDI, but it's in half speed and the frequency splitter is on. Okay, now that we're done with that big chunk, we have the phased guitar, which is the country potato from Nexus. And at the beginning of the song, the volume increases from 0, and we have a phaser, hence the pattern name, and an EQ. And it plays this pattern. Pretty catchy, in my opinion. Okay, then we have the phase guitar number 2. Where's this at? Oh yeah. So we have that guitar with some electric guitars that just plays this part. Those parts right there, it plays those. Dog, my CPU is really whack. Okay, then we have the electric guitar. So this, at the beginning of the song, also increases in volume. Then with those parts that you just saw, these parts right here, the volume increases there as well, affecting it. So on these we just have an EQ, and it's actually 2 presets. It's that preset combined with this. And then they play this MIDI. And then it just repeats itself. Okay, next up in the intro, we have the Reese Bass, which starts off with, oh come on, there it is, the Fruity Love filter with the preset PC low pass plus phaser, and then it basically comes out of there. And then it also has this EQ. So let's turn those off for a minute. It sounds like this. should be noted that with most Reese basses, what you want to do is go like this, take down the release, so then when you play a note, it cuts off. But I didn't do that, so that's why I took out the low end so it can like fade off. And that's how the high notes go, like, you know, it's pretty cool. Okay, so then we have this drop melody pattern, which is a collection of MIDI that plays when you first hear the trap drums and 808 and stuff. So the biggest part of it is the Pan Flute, which I'll go more into like the preset and effects later. But at this part, it has some fruity reverb too taken up. And there are different kinds of reverb and stereo separation that go on with it later. And this preset is like the coolest. And later on in the song, I'm super happy with what I was able to do to it. It's combined with the dark cellos from Nexus. Then there's this vocal sound that I'll go into later, and it just plays one note at the beginning for like a cool little... Yeah, that's that. Okay, then we have the electronic orchestra. So it's the first string preset, but then we get right here the hybrid strings 3. So we had the first one, now we have the third one. Dog, I can't talk either. Oh boy, I just went and closed all my extra windows and my fans started going hot diggity dog, as Scooby-Doo would say. So, this is the Analog Brass 1 from Nexus, and I've added a lot of low end and then a lot of this. And that plays again later on. And then right over here, as we get into the halftime outro thing, I brought up the fastest. Oh yeah, baby. Okay, and then I exported a note from the Analog Brass 1. But I reversed it, so that's a re-reverse thing because I like saved it like that. And so it leads up to the distortion. Okay, and then next up we have the choir, which is the classical choir 2, and I turned off a bunch of things for you to hear it. Then you know what was really funny? So, Hollywood Brass, right? Turn this on, piano roll. I added these notes in it, and it's really weird because it sounds exactly like the choir. So I tried to copy it and paste it into the choir piano roll, but when I did, it sounded like horrible. Ear cancer, you know? So I kept it like this. Then next up in the order of this tutorial, but not really in the order of the song, is the Hollywood Brass again, Brass 1. So it plays this random high note at the drop, and then it plays these chords. Combined with the high notes from the other one, make it sound like suspenseful. After that, we have the Enios box. And then we take off these two oscillators. Yellow. The big drop. Then there's a high note. Then at the part with this electric guitar thing, we have just one singular Reese Bass note. Okay, now here comes the big part where I talk about my favorite pattern from the entire song. The instrument for it is the epic Pan Flute from Nexus. This is like the best preset. I love this. I absolutely love this preset. Seriously, shout out to the boys at Nexus. So at the beginning of the song with the drop melody, we had this reverb, but an automation clip turns it off. And then we have this one sustained note, right? And it turns on Cymatic Spacelight, a reverb plugin with dry and wet all the way up. Then I also had an automation clip for the stereo separation. And then also I added this wider plugin. So this is mono, this is stereo, and this is like epic stereo. So on top of that, it is stereo. And we have these notes as well. Yeah, man, I'm stoked. I love that instrument. I love this song. I'm really proud of myself. That's that.
Well, that took me all day. Hey, if you liked the video, make sure to subscribe. Am I right?